Hello everybody and welcome to the Tom Colohue channel, where today we have ourselves a live Q&A going into WrestleMania. This is largely because we've been getting so many questions recently during spoiler warning that it's very hard to keep up. I do not have news, though, as the title does suggest. I picked out some certain moments from WWE Raw that I would like to at least highlight and celebrate. After all, that is the current audience that I am going for. But welcome everyone, Spider-Boss already in the chat, Venom, Eric, Wrestler Fan, Dark Society as well, also saying hi. This is a pure Q&A. You will ask questions, I will endeavour to answer every single one of them. If I'm not able to, I'll certainly put my hand up and say I am not able to. We will go essentially as long as you do. So the faster you go, the faster I go. Although, to be fair, eventually I do get to a point where I just have to read so quickly that nobody can understand a word I'm saying. My microphone is not close enough. That will hopefully help the situation, and everyone will understand what I'm saying a little better. Venom is the first person here saying, hi Tom, welcome Venom. Eric says, Tom, two-part question. One, when will Roddy Strong be ready to return? It is mostly creative at this point. There are still some ongoing issues. There's a lot of issues, most of which they have not made public. And two, I know your WWE source is stronger than your AEW ones, which is true. But any news on when Kyle O'Reilly can return? Again, there's a lot going on here, but this one, obviously, there's no personal issues with Kyle O'Reilly. They are just waiting to see if certain injury issues will clear up or if it's going to be a long-term thing. It looks like, unfortunately, it's going to be a long-term thing. Dark Society says, hi Tom, good evening. How's everything going today? Very good, thank you, Dark Society. Wrestler Fan says, hello Tom, the head of the source table. In the same way that we have Usi, does this make me saucy? Oh, I hate myself for saying that. Joey says, hi Tom, welcome Joey. Aled says, hey Tom, thanks for earlier, I really appreciate it. Aled asked for a little bit of advice on his YouTube channel and his podcast, which I was able to give advice from my field and my perspective. Anyone else who's interested in that, please do let me know, because I actually really enjoy doing those. Yes, CCC, nice and prompt, thankfully. Spider-Boss says, hello Tom, which wrestler do you wish WWE would have pushed to the moon? If you'll forgive the pun, Ember Moon would have been great. Ember Moon could have certainly had a lot more. And says, do you think Asuka finally wins at WrestleMania? Yes. Sai says, evening Tom and all. Welcome, Sai. Sean says, hello Tom. Hello, Sean. And Carlos says, will WWE have a surprise wrestler at WrestleMania like last year's Cody Rhodes? Maybe AJ Styles. AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes are not comparable in any way, shape or form when it comes to the surprise level that they went for. Justin Check says, with the Bellas, any word on why they deleted YouTube and changed their names? Any word on Brie going to AEW to join her husband? That is a difficult one. The Bellas, as far as I'm aware, have ceased all interactions and all contact now with the WWE. They were still working under a promotional contract, but that has come to an end now as well, meaning that at this point in time, Nikki and Brie are no longer related in any way, shape or form to the WWE. To my knowledge, their interest is still primarily not in wrestling, so I would not expect to see them pop up in AEW. Spider-Boss says, Trish didn't sold Damage Control's attack on Raw? Maybe. Backwards says, hey Tom, hope you're well. Was wondering if you see Ed getting a world title before he retires. Personally, I do not. I also would be annoyed if he did, personally, just speaking from my own perspective. Because ultimately, Edge is surely coming in to try and give back at this point, and he hasn't given a lot back. He's given a bit back to Finn Balor, but Finn Balor didn't really need it. He's given a bit back to Roman Reigns, who definitely didn't need it. He's given nothing back to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has had to give back to him, so it's difficult for me to say that Edge deserves any particular celebration like a championship. Joey says, WrestleVotes reported Butch is going back to Pete Dunne. Is this really happening? Maybe. There's no reason why not. There's no reason to keep the name as is. After all, there's been plenty of changes already. Noob says, hello Tom, how are you doing today? Pardon me, doing well, thank you, doing well. Christoph says, good evening Tom. First question, how are you and what do you think of the Roxanne storyline? A lot to say about the Roxanne storyline. Now, to my knowledge, it's a work. It's a work and it's very similar to something that Shawn Michaels did many, many moons ago. But I'd like to share a DM conversation that I've had today with someone who is sometimes in this chat, and I hope they are. While we jump into this, please remember we have 29 viewers and only 4 likes so far. Let's get those likes rocking up if you please, and subscribe if you haven't already. So a DM conversation I had with someone on Twitter today. They messaged me saying, hearing Roxanne collapsing was legit. I responded, do you want to tell me your source on this? They responded, an NXT referee. I asked, an NXT referee is personally talking to you? They responded, through a source. I asked, which means that I once again have to ask, what source? And they responded by saying, source I've been using a while. For those who don't know, if you're not willing to outright say this is my source and so on, and you're not an established journalist who has a duty to protect sources, what you are is a liar. Tends to be that if people are reporting with no source, they're lying. That is someone who comes into this channel. And this, by the way, is why I'm currently writing out the guide for how to react in the Discord, the general rules for play here in the chat as well. For example, part of it, and I'm still drafting it out, is saying that nobody is trash, that we should treat people nicely. Be sure to source your information so that we're not bringing in false information. Strive to inform, so if someone is unaware of something, try to help them and inform them, and offer people the benefit of the doubt where appropriate. There'll also be separate rules for moderators as well as that, but this is one of the ways in which people have really, really trampled all over the whole concept. I am not taking prisoners anymore. If you're screwing up like that and acting like you run the goddamn world, I'm going to call you out. Alan says, who do you think will win the Universal title after Cody relinquishes it after Mania? I think there's a number of possibilities. Drew and Seth make the most sense for me, personally. John is asking, any news about Roxanne? Already detailed it. Dad says, big up, Tom. Who do you think will win the Trips tag titles tonight? House of Black or Jericho's faction or the Elite? I would imagine at this point it will stay with House of Black. Eric says, do you think Johnny will show Grayson the way? No, I do not. Wrestler fan says, Ronda and Shayna off Mania. Not officially. It is still listed backstage as we speak. Whether or not the match happens, we will have to find out. CCC, that's thoughts on that. I imagine that's corporation. The corporation was a means to an end. The means being the corporation, the end being trying to get Big Boss Man and Ken Shamrock over. Yeah. Sai says, Saucy is begging for a meme or at least an emoji. Well, to be fair, and to be perfectly frank, I'm sitting here and I've just realised this. I must have been eating up here at some point because I've got a sachet of Heinz barbecue sauce. Saucy. Dark Society says, I watched the Brock and Omos segment. Omos botched throwing Brock over the top rope. Omos is very bad. You say that. Here's the thing. Brock Lesnar is one of the most spectacular wrestlers in the world when it comes to going over the top rope. He throws himself over there. He turns sideways and he rolls. He does all of the work himself. So if someone botches it, it's Brock Lesnar sandbagging them. If you watch anyone throw Lesnar over a top rope, watch any Royal Rumble featuring Brock Lesnar, his move over the top rope is the smoothest thing you have ever seen. It is smoother than The Undertaker. The guy knows how to roll out of a ring. I have questions. Joseph says, hi Tom. People have been talking about Mandy coming. Do you think she will? I think Triple H and Shawn Michaels did not want to fire her, but they have fired her, and Nick Khan is still in play, who decided that she would be fired. Eric says, who do you think in WWE should have been world champion, but should have been? Mine is Matt Hardy. Oh, right, gotcha. Who do I think should have been world champion but wasn't? Owen Hart. Every day of the week, Owen Hart. Khalid says, hey Tom, when do you see Bray returning? There is still an outside possibility he will be at WrestleMania. Joey says, Wrestling News reported that LA Knight is expected to get a big push after Mania. Is this true or is it speculation on their end? In fact, yesterday, Wrestling Observer reported that. So I don't know whether or not that was after a Dave Meltzer report. Also, when it comes to the idea that LA Knight is expected to get a big push, he's not expected to get a big push. He's expected to get a push. He's expected to feature on TV, but it depends what you quantify as a big push. He's certainly not going to be winning the top championship anytime soon. Joey says, why are they making Roxanne vacate the title? Is she getting called up? Quite possibly, yes. Spider-Boss says, two-part question. Why are WWE vacating the NXT Women's title? And second, do you see Gigi Dolan winning the title? The championship is not guaranteed to be vacated. There is still a lot more points to be won in this particular one. Spider-Boss says, what do you think about the Asuka versus Bianca feud? I think they are doing terribly when it comes to hyping it up. I don't feel hyped. I don't feel hyped at all. In fact, I don't even feel really interested in this particular one. They need to do a lot more to make me interested. Joseph says, Tom, I want to think we should win the golden rule back. Treat other people how everyone wants to be treated in this country. Well, we are more than the country. We are international, and as such, we go by several international laws, primarily UK, where we're based, and the US, where YouTube is based. So we have to factor that in, plus, of course, Twitch, where we're live as well. When it comes to the rules, they need to be set because we've been having some issues lately, and I just want to make sure everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet. Razar says, which match is going to main event night one of WrestleMania? Personally, I still think Charlotte versus Rhea has a strong chance of doing so, but the tag championship is also in a very good spot. Moises says, good evening, Tom. Good evening, Moises. Devil says, what's happening with this Mustafa Ali Dolph Ziggler storyline? Will they end up becoming a team? I don't think that's an end up situation. I think they are actively a team. Joey says, do you know if Stone Cold has agreed to work at Mania, or are they still negotiating? There are discussions. I wouldn't necessarily call them negotiations at this point, but there are discussions about him working the show. The problem is, at this point, we're getting very close to too late. Jordan says, hi Tom, keep up the good work. Just wanting to say, when it comes to wrestling news, your reporting is by far the best, and you make it about the wrestling, not about you, unlike most other people. Thank you, Jordan. I strive to inform and make it about the news, so that's a lovely thing to say, and I really do appreciate you saying it. Backwards says, what tag titles do you see Sami and Kevin holding on to after they get their win? And who do you see winning the relinquished titles? I see them personally, if the championships are split, holding on to the Raw Tag Team Championship. Sami Zayn going to Monday Night Raw, where he can work with a number of people. Sami versus Cody, for example, I think would be a hell of a match. But there's also a lot of different tag teams there now who can be involved. I also see the Viking Raiders going sort of with him. But Street Profits versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn is going to be a lot of fun. When it comes to SmackDown, again, Viking Raiders I think are very much in contention for me. But it depends who moves where. Otis and Chad Gable I think could be very fun as champions for a little while longer. Christoph says, yesterday I got someone telling me by DM Roxanne had legit vertigo. Sources, someone who pretends to work for NXT Creative. Well, Christoph, you may be messaged by the exact same person. Hello, Hassan, how are you? Ray says, anyone notice how we got Asuka once again dancing, looking like a complete geek, after Triple H went back to basics with her at the Royal Rumble? On top of the fact, the entire story with her, that is very, very true. Carlos says, Mike Johnson states Batista will not be inducted for the Hall of Fame this year as he is filming My Spy 2. Who was it who reported that Batista would be the top, the first, what is the phrase? First ballot pick. Who was it who reported that Batista would be the first ballot pick? Batista, Hall of Fame, 2023. What do we got? Okay, report from the 20th of February. A new report from PWInsider notes that word from within WWE has the Animal being the headliner at the WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony during WrestleMania 39 weekend in Los Angeles. So Mike Johnson of PWInsider reported that Batista would headline the Hall of Fame. Now Mike Johnson of PWInsider has stated that Dave Batista will not be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I've said this about Dave Meltzer many times. I now have to say it about Mike Johnson. How many times are we going to report on rumor killers from the people who started the rumour? Joey says, Brock looked pissed after that botch. Is there heat on Omos? No, there is no heat on Omos. There was no botch from Omos. As I've said, if Brock Lesnar wants to go over the top rope, Brock Lesnar goes over the top rope. Sai says, thanks for doing the Wednesday specials, Tom. Appreciate that, Sai. I try and just add a little more to it. I know that, for example, right now, we've not got a huge amount of viewership. That's because of the time change. That's because we rarely do Wednesday shows. But what that means is, I can answer as many of your questions as possible. I can really smash through a lot of questions and get a lot done, and I very much appreciate all of you joining me today. Sean says, do you think the breakup of Toxic Attraction would have still happened if Mandy was still with the company? No, I can confirm it would not have happened. They were going to go up as a trio. Spider-Boss says, the booking of Asuka versus Bianca feud reminds me of Sasha Banks versus Bianca WrestleMania 37 feud. 23 Fresh says, who do you expect to leave AEW? Anyone who is not happy to be there. The Dark Society says, is Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley going to main event, or will a tag team championship main event? That is up to the WWE. They have not made their mind up yet. Joey says, I don't like how they're making Asuka act goofy again. I sense Vince has a hand in this. You may sense that. To my knowledge, that's not the case. Ilke Harrison, welcome. Says, who beats Jade Cargill for the AEW TBS women's title, ending her undefeated streak? It's hard to say. Personally, I think Ruby Soho has a damn good shot. a damn good shot of being the one, particularly considering the situation that she's found herself in character-wise right now. Toni Storm's another one. They're the ones who are getting the attention, so I think they're the ones who stand a good chance. Dad says, who do you see The Miz facing at Mania if he has a match? I don't see him having a match, so it doesn't matter who he might face if he did. Spider-Boss says, when Rey Mysterio will fight back against Dominic. Now it's just Dominic interrupting Rey. Very soon, I'd imagine within the next week or so, Rey will throw that first punch, and we'll see how far we get with this one. Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio is one of my favourite things happening on Raw or SmackDown right now. In WWE in general, Dominic Mysterio has been a revelation, a huge surprise to me, a very pleasant surprise at that, as to his overall level of character, personality and success. If you want to be a new wrestler coming into the company, Dominic Mysterio is the perfect example of how it should be done. I also want to point out, bit of exclusive here, Dominic Mysterio has some of the most creative control of anyone in the WWE right now when it comes to the promos that he is cutting. Judgment Day in general are trusted to a huge degree to write and make their own promos. Eric says, do you think Priest will get a temporary push for Backlash? Yes, I do. I'd very much like the idea of Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest at Backlash. I just don't think that would end the way the fans are looking for. Alex says, who do you think will be the first feud for Cody as champion? Just mentioned it. Ilkay says, best pro wrestler actor in a movie. I have really liked quite a few. I like The Miz, to be honest. I liked Becky Lynch in a couple of roles. Most of them have not been movies per se. But I think ultimately, when it comes to actual acting, unquestionably it's Dave Bautista. There really isn't much of a debate. Just on emotional range, it's Dave Bautista. Christoph says, would you see more Montez turning heel on Dawkins or the Street Profits turning heel together, joining the Hurt Business? The Street Profits are not likely to join the Hurt Business. There is no interest from MVP in that. I'm pretty sure the only reason people think that might happen is because they're all black. Race isn't the reason behind the Hurt Business. It's just people that MVP believes are really talented who weren't getting much of a shot. I do see Montez Ford turning on Angelo Dawkins personally. I just think a Montez Ford as a heel has a huge career trajectory to come against people like Cody, like Styles, like Seth. There's just a lot that they can do with that. Spider-Boss says, do you think that Rhea Ripley needs to improve her promo skills? Not necessarily. I think they need to stop scripting her and she'll do a lot better. Joseph says, Tom, what is the way to relax? Find a job that you enjoy. Just that you enjoy. You might be the hardest worker in the world, but if you enjoy it, it won't feel like work. Don't spend time with people who feel like work either. If people are draining your energy, walk away. It's not worth it. Have a small collection of valuable friends who lift you up and who believe in you. Anyone who doesn't believe in you, they can go to hell. They can go to hell. The best way to relax is to have confidence in yourself and be surrounded by people who have confidence in you, because then nothing you do will tire you. Noob says, do you think Asuka's behaviour and mannerisms are very condescending as of late? Ever since the Elimination Chamber, her facial expressions and body language definitely tell the story. The story that's being told here is that Asuka is not threatened in any way by Bianca Belair. It's not the most original story, but it does work. Dark Society says, which version of The Undertaker is your favourite? It would be Corporate Ministry, that's the one. Ministry of Darkness per se was always a Ministry Taker, but it's Corporate Ministry, which I feel he was at the best when he started to really lose his mind on Vince McMahon. Ray says, will Ilya Dragunov be called up to the main roster? Eventually, probably. Ilkay says, next NXT Women's Champion, when does Roxanne return? Soon. Just too late is what I'm seeing. Sean says, I say Mercedes Money beats Jade Cargill. That would be cool. Joey says, like Vince says, you've got to smile more. Chauvinistic. Backward says, Tom, what's your opinion on the Dom-Ray feud so far? I think it's going well, and Dominic is becoming an amazing heel. When it comes to the build for WrestleMania so far, there's a lot of matches that haven't had a very good build. I think, for example, the Tag Team Championship match has had the best build with Sami Zayn, but the World Championship hasn't had a great build. The Intercontinental Championship is doing really well. The United States is getting there. When it comes to actual good builds, Ray versus Dominic is up there with the best for me. It's one of the matches I'm most excited for, and it seems to just continue to build hype. I'm really enjoying it, and I do think both men are playing their parts perfectly. Barry says, hello everyone, bloody Tory budget, that's better. And my system now can talk wrestling. Welcome, Barry. Omega says, Tegan Knox. Ken says, what do you think Liv Morgan will do next? Will she enter a tag team or stay in singles? At this point, it seems like we're going to have to wait till after WrestleMania, at which point a lot depends on the draft. Backwards says, who could you see finally dethrone Gunther? I don't think he will lose at Mania. I also do not think he will lose at Mania. I think of the people who actually stand a chance, it is someone who is currently lower down the card who will be elevated towards him. I certainly am looking at people like Omos at this point. I don't like the idea, but I do think that's a strong possibility. It really does depend who is smart enough to find a way to beat Gunther. Joey says, are they scrapping this whole Bray storyline or rewriting it? They are doing neither. What they're doing is a bump in the road. Essentially, he's got 5 or 6 weeks where he has to just write something else and then he can go back to what he was doing beforehand. Much like he did with LA Knight. His story has not yet involved any actual wrestlers. The WWE keeps essentially forcing him to involve wrestlers in his wrestling storyline. Sai says, do you think there's value in a Sami Cody feud after Mania or counterproductive? I think there's value if they keep it face versus face and if they have Sami attacked by someone else during the match. Spider-Boss says, do you think the WWE needs to refresh the women's division? Yes, and they will be doing so in the draft. Adam Kieran, welcome, says, will Vince make his way back in creative? At the moment, he's making suggestions, some of which have been taken up. When it comes to Vince as head of creative, I find it very unlikely he will assume the mantle, though he will still have ways of making an impact. Dark Society says, what part of the UK is your favourite? I really like places like Kidderminster and Buxton. Joseph says, but Tom, I can't work. Well, then you should be chill. Ilkay says, who do you see as Ripley's potential first feud if she becomes SmackDown Women's Champion? I'd like it to be Bianca Belair. I think Liv Morgan will be up there. Christoph says, totally agree with you about Montez. He's got all the potential to be a great cocky heel. Everyone loves a cock. Vegeta says, hi Tom. Hello Vegeta. Adam, I read it. You decided to throw in all caps. You got to do better than that, mate. There's a lot of people in this chat right now. I'm trying to answer a lot of questions. Was it a long way? I don't think it was. I don't think it was at all. Let's not make it about you, okay? Eric says, I think they should go the New Day route with the Street Profits, where they're still boys but singles stars. I wouldn't hate that. I really wouldn't. Ray says, I'd like to see Taya Valkyrie beat Jade Cargill. And Ilke says, Brian Cage to WWE. Omega shouts, Tom Colohue, and says, good advice on relaxing. I find, when it comes to just trying to stay chill, the best thing you can possibly do is surround yourself by people who don't stress you out. Life is stressful enough without having to carry a friendship for someone else. And I think most people will say most of the friendships they have are fair weather friendships anyway. It's okay. You don't need that many people. Believe in yourself. That's the place to start. And I said, hey. Vegeta says, do you think the Good Brothers will join Jay White betraying AJ? No, they were basically brought in just to be a favour for AJ. Also, there is no guarantee that Jay White is coming, so that is an assumption right there. Dal says, what's your favourite Bobby Lashley match? I've actually kind of enjoyed some of the Brock Lesnar stuff, but not too much. I think my favourite is Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns from before SummerSlam, way back when. Christoph says, interesting you mentioning Dom has creative control on promo, considering Rhea said a few days ago having creative control on promo too, and it works so well. It does. It does. Unfortunately, when she's scripted, it means she's not entirely comfortable with the cadence, but we are where we are. Kelly says, when do you see AJ Styles returning, Tom? After WrestleMania. Ray says, will Jeff Hardy be returning to AEW anytime soon? He already has, he just hasn't wrestled. Alan says, when do you think we'll see Roman after Mania? I think we'll see him, the Raw, after Mania. Joey says, do you know what the original plan was for Bray at Mania before they changed it to Bobby? As I did say, when it comes to Bray Wyatt, he's mostly been writing storylines that don't involve other wrestlers. There is a strong chance he was writing a storyline that doesn't involve other wrestlers. It may have been just him and the Wyatt Six having a seance. Who knows at this point? Sean says, how soon do you see Alexa back? And will she be Asuka's first feud when she wins the title, or will that be the SummerSlam match? Again, I think she'll be back after WrestleMania. I don't think she'll be challenging Asuka. Ilkay says, Bray Wyatt's best match in the WWE was Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble 2014. Underrated classic. Wyatt family versus Shield all the way for me. Adam says, will The Fiend return? The Fiend in many ways has returned, just with a different mask. The Bray Wyatt that we saw at the Royal Rumble was The Fiend, just painted differently. The exact character and personality were there. Spider-Boss says, do you think Bianca loses at WrestleMania? Yes. Ilkay says, do WWE do the Battle Royal this year at WrestleMania? I personally think so. It would be great for the pre-shows of both shows. And Ray says, everyone in the chat, give the stream a thumbs up. If you're able to, please consider it. We have 35 viewers and only the 17 likes. Every like does make a massive difference. And of course, please do remember to subscribe. We do spoiler warning news shows every Monday and Friday, SmackDown watch parties every Friday, and of course our pay-per-view watch parties as well that you can watch. We also do shorts every single day, apart from Sundays, in which we detail the latest wrestling rumours right in your inbox, right at the beginning of the day. No Kieran, the original Fiend, will not return. Backwards says, do you think Randy Orton will break the Ric Flair John Cena record? No, I think Charlotte Flair will beat Ric Flair's record. Ilke says, if Ronda unfortunately ends up injured, do the women's tag titles get defended versus anyone else? No, they do not. If Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are unable to compete for the tag team championships, the tag team championships will not be defended at all at WrestleMania. Joey says, why haven't they used the Good Brothers? I think they still add value as a tag team, even without AJ. As I said, the Good Brothers were brought in as a favour to AJ Styles to work with AJ Styles. They are only interested in working with AJ Styles. Traffic says, oh, what's up, Tom and chat? Thanks as always. Forgot about these Wednesday shows. The Wednesday shows, there's only going to be 2 more as we build up to WrestleMania. It is 2, isn't it? I'm not getting that wrong. It is 2. There will only be 2 more. 1 more Q&A show and 1 live taping of Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure for the for PWTorch's live daily cast. It's not a live cast, it's a daily cast, for PWTorch's daily cast. So that is the plan for the next few Wednesdays. Spider-Boss says, do you think Becky will pass the torch to Bianca as the number 1 babyface in the women's division? No. I think she has already tried to do that, and people just want more Becky. Daz says, what's your favourite Rock moment? So it was just after WrestleMania 15, when The Rock was in a tag team match alongside Triple H against The Big Show and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he said, Big Show, you bring your rude... And then he stopped because the crowd were already chanting it. And then he said, don't do that. Don't do that. In fact, he wasn't the Big Show at this point. He was still Paul White. Paul White, you bring your rude... This is not sing-along with the Great One. The best way to get your catchphrases over is to tell the fans you are not allowed to say it. For example, no, no, no. That is why Daniel Bryan is over. Adam says, who do you think will buy WWE? And super thanks. No worries, Adam. Appreciate that. I'm not sure when it comes to WWE. The members only section has got a bit of further analysis on this one. I reference that a lot, but it's the reporting that I've got on that one. I have to be quite careful with some of this stuff. Unfortunately, I think the favourite right now continues to be the Independent Monetary Fund of Saudi Arabia. Investment fund. Christoph says, have you seen Grayson Waller attacking Johnny Gargano at his home? Good stuff. No, I have not. John says, Tom, when are you planning to do your next reporting? Friday. Friday is spoiler warning. Spoiler warning is still the news show. Razar says, will there be musical performances at WrestleMania? Snoop Dogg was on the poster. I thought that was weird if he's not appearing. I expect him to appear, yes. I am very confident he will be carrying that golden championship belt into WrestleMania for an appearance. Sean says, non-wrestling question, but your thoughts on the actors who portray Joel and Ellie in The Last of Us? I think Troy Baker should have been considered. I really do. Pedro Pascal has done a good job. Bella Ramsey has also done a good job, though I do feel she played up the accent to start with and then slowly let it go. I think she's a very different Ellie. I don't hate it in any way, shape or form. I like that you can look at the game and look at the TV show and it's very, very different. I like that. I actually think the TV show does non-game stuff better than it does game stuff. So I think they've done a good job. I just don't understand why Troy Baker couldn't have a bit of a bigger role. 23 Fresh says, will there be any debuts at WrestleMania? Very unlikely, no. Spider-Buzz says, what is your favourite role models moment? The moment when Bayley took on Asuka at WWE SummerSlam and Sasha Banks was on the outside. Ultimately, I got very, very sick of the fact that Bayley could only win matches with Sasha Banks. It became a problem. Joey says, do you know if Bronson Reed will be in any storylines after Mania? Yes, he will, because after WrestleMania is the rest of eternity, and at some point Bronson Reed will be in a storyline. Alex says, do you know if the draft is happening straight after Mania or a bit after? I do not know, no. Eric says, who do you think will be the person to dethrone Roxanne? I say Cora Jade. I think Gigi Dolan has a good shot here. She is, after all, the one that the WWE believe will be the top-level star of this current batch of NXT. Oh, gotcha, Jordan. You mean the fake news breakdown? When am I planning to do my next breakdown of reports from other outlets? Really enjoy those. Certainly that can be something I look for. Is that something you guys want during a live show, or is that something you guys want as a video? Because if so, that's certainly something I can do. What do you guys prefer? A separate video going through the breakdown of other reports and other outlets, or part of a live show where you can get involved? Ray says, did you like the Vince Kiss My Arse Club gimmick? No, not really. Thank you, Khalid. I appreciate that. Ilke says, any plans for Strowman, Ricochet, Liv Morgan, Natalia for WrestleMania other than Battle Royals? Not at this point, no. Ken says, why did WWE change Johnny Gargano's theme? The license expired. JJ says, hey Tom, do you see Bianca beating Becky and becoming the longest reigning champion? I notice they're mentioning it a lot now in her promos. I see her losing at WrestleMania. Dad says, what do you think of the game tonight? I did not watch it because I knew how it was going to go. Khalid's excited for a SmackDown watch along. Joey says, which wrestlers do you think will get resets after Mania and a new creative direction? There's quite a few different people who I think are in need of a creative reset at this point in time. Elias, for example, has really lost the way. I'd rather see Ezekiel back, but obviously Ezekiel, as we know, picked up a major injury and is in serious rehab at the moment. Adam says, will the Uncle Howdy mask end up being Bray Wyatt's new gimmick? Nope, Uncle Howdy is a separate incarnation and a separate character entirely. Ray says, how do you feel seeing Liverpool go out of the Champions League? I didn't even know the result, but I expected it. They were not good. It's been a bad season for Liverpool. Yes, Khalid, I've seen Lord of the Rings. Ilke says, is Cora Jade going to be in the ladder match for the NXT Women's title? Probably. Sean says, favourite Alexa Bliss moment, and do you see Cody in War Games? War Games is a long way away, mate. Long way away. Probably, but long way away. It's a guess at this point. Favourite Alexa Bliss moment? That's a difficult one because she has a lot. I think it is during the first Women's Elimination Chamber match when they focused on her just sort of looking at everyone entering when she was in the pod, and I got goosebumps. Adam says, sorry for asking so many questions. Adam, do not worry about it. This is a Q&A show. A Q&A show. You ask as many questions as you want for as long as you want. This is how we work here. I try to answer every single question. It can get quite difficult during news shows, hence why we've got this extra show. Spoiler warning is averaging 80 to 100 viewers right now. It can get a bit crazy. But you are doing me a favour by asking questions, and there's two reasons for that. Firstly, YouTube has a metric called chat rate, and right now I have a chat rate of 4. The higher your chat rate, the more YouTube will advertise your show because the more engaged the viewers are. If you, watching, are engaged and interested in the content I'm making, YouTube thinks, oh, maybe other people will be as well, and puts the word out there. So it helps to advertise the show, much like likes do, much like comments do, much like average view duration does, which at the minute is 9 minutes 26 per viewer, and that's lovely. Secondly, Adam, this show is a show that will stop when there are no questions. It will stop. It will end. Or like if I reach an hour, if I'm just tired, it is 10:30 in the UK, so we have to consider that. So the more questions you ask, the longer the show goes on, the more chance there is of people finding the show. So you are doing me a favour by asking questions. Backwards says, any ideas who will win Money in the Bank? I think it could be LA Knight. I don't have any distinct ideas, but I'd love it if Big E was the one. Justin Check would like to see the news breakdowns at his own separate thing, like an Uber Daily News. Jordan says part of a live show, which immediately... So we've got disagreements there. Christoph says, so ironic when I think about Rock. First they reject him as a face, and they embarrass him as a heel, and becomes one of the greatest faces ever. Yeah, embarrassing a heel is fun. People get behind it. Spider-Boss says, what was the original plan for the SmackDown Women's title match from SummerSlam 2021? Sasha Banks was going to win. Sean says, Ezekiel's unlockable in 2K23. There's my tag team champions. Clever. Allied wants it as a live show. Eric says, what in your mind is bigger, Roman's 1,000-day reign or Cody winning it for his dad? Neither, but Cody will be winning it. They're both just ways to try and get over. They're not actually substantial. It's all just branding. Khalid says, so Bray will wrestle at Mania. Hard to say at this point in time. Ray says, favourite Rosemary from Impact Wrestling moment. There's a lot I liked. She's been kind of unstoppable, so there's a lot. The immediate things are things like the Hardy compound match and times like that, but I just like everything she does. She's brilliant. Ilkay says, King of the Ring final, Gable versus Ricochet, Women's Queen final, Liv versus Io would be great matches. Joey says, is Uncle Howdy going to keep showing up and do the same thing, or will we see him wrestle in the future? He's supposed to be wrestling already, but Bray Wyatt doesn't really want him to do that. Bray Wyatt, in fact, doesn't seem particularly happy with the fact that Uncle Howdy got beat up by Bobby Lashley. Dominic says, will the King of the Ring winner get a world title match if the titles are separated? Seems unlikely. Sean says, do you see Fallon and Kiana retaining over Alba and Isla? I don't know who Fallon and Kiana are. I don't watch much NXT, I've said this before. Barry says, they're pretty deadly presenting the NXT Stand and Deliver pay-per-view. Do you agree it's almost certain they'll both come out dressed as Adamant to the song Stand and Deliver? That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Wiggly says, you heard of the new wrestling game AEW taking forever? Welcome, Wiggly. Mr. Stumble says, will ex-con Dom join the Uso penitentiary at some point? Nope. Vegeta says, do you think Brock will retire? Yes, because ultimately you can only wrestle for so long, and one day he will definitely retire. Razar says, what do you think about maximum male models? I find them entertaining. I really like comedy acts like R-Truth and the whole Ezekiel and Elias storyline before they killed that storyline. I like the variation. It's good to have storylines like that just to give you a bit of difference and variation in it. I quite like Triple M. I'm happy with what they're doing. Ken says, will Dakota Kai ever become a single star? One day, yes. Ray says, I'd not like to see Big E with Money in the Bank. He won it last year. Austin Theory won it last year. Adam says, well, you said that it will end up being Bray receiving the Uncle Howdy mask. I didn't say that. Oh, no, I get you. I get you, Adam. I get you. Right, so that was the original plan when it comes to Uncle Howdy. Bray Wyatt would become Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy would take over Bray Wyatt. They would start by feuding, then become allies, then Bray Wyatt would absorb Uncle Howdy, become Uncle Howdy, and then become some measure of mix. Then he was told, no, you got to actually involve some wrestlers in this, and LA Knight happened. There is still an element of that. He is still planning to play it out as Uncle Howdy and Bray Wyatt are one person, two versions of one person. But yeah, the WWE decided to make some changes to his story, and he wasn't particularly happy about it. 23 Fresh says, do AEW wrestlers like or respect Tony Khan? Yes. Joey says, we'll be getting the draft video soon. As soon as they announce the draft, or at least when we're a bit closer to the draft, you will see draft predictions popping up in this channel, don't you worry. Wiggly says, early days yet, but what do you think Klopp needs to do with Liverpool for next season? Get some midfielders. He's got the talent up front. He needs some midfielders. Ilkay says, was Bayley always the first choice scheduled to win the Women's Money in the Bank back in 2019? No, she was not. It was supposed to be Sasha Banks. It was supposed to be Sasha Banks. Triple Z says, AEW or ECW? AEW for me. ECW is carnage, but I was never really that into it. Christoph says, do you not think Roxanne's being called up now would be a bit too soon? She's only 21, no need to rush her. She's only 21 and she is currently the NXT Women's Champion. They believe in her to an extreme, insane degree, and they will be pushing her hard. Dominic Perez says, is Steve Austin returning? Maybe. Joey says, what happened to the Uncle Harper character? Were there ever plans to debut him, or was it scrapped? There were plans to debut him. There are plans to debut him. Once again, the storyline that Bray wants to actually write is not even approaching the storyline that we have right now. There are serious problems with the storyline that Bray Wyatt is laying out and that the WWE is actually presenting. They are not the same thing. Ilkay says, what do you make of Rollins' 2015 heel authority world title run? I think it was magnificent and exactly what they needed. Eric says, do you think Bo Dallas unmasked soon? I don't think there's any way he can unmask and it actually look good. I just think the second he unmasks, the whole thing comes out like an actual joke. I don't like that idea, but that's what I think will happen. Because, oh, my uncle's also my brother. It's not going to work as you were aiming for, is it? Mr. Stumble says, when does ex-con Dom absorb Rey Mysterio's mask like Bray Wyatt absorbing Uncle Howdy? WrestleMania. Dad says, is it Friday the WWE game comes out? You can get it now if you like. Sean says, in 52 days, Bram Breakker will break Adam Cole's record as longest reigning NXT champion. Or he won't. Juan says, hey Tom, when the Bella Twins and Taya Valkyrie claim they won't be going to AEW, are they working or legit? They are first-hand sources, so you have to take them at their word until proven otherwise. It is not our place as journalists to call them liars, unless we have evidence that they're lying. Wiggly says, will they ever actually reveal Uncle Howdy? Hopefully not, because as I say, I don't see it working. Your views on the the Garcias leaving WWE. I think it's a long time coming. They've done absolutely nothing in the company for a long time. There's no point them being there. Sean says, Sasha was the favourite to win Money in the Bank in 2018. I do believe she would have won it, but the odds shifted to Alexa, in which she ended up winning. Sasha was down to win in 2019. Alexa Bliss was the plan for 2018 because she was actively being fed to Ronda Rousey. The only reason Sasha was the favourite is fans who wanted it to happen. Wiggly says, I don't think unmasking has any value now. Bo Dallas, nobody cares about him anymore. Dominic says, are you having a watch party for the Hall of Fame? Yes, I am. Ray says, what is your childhood video game you would like to play again? There's a number of different video games which I do play pretty regularly. I'm a big Sonic fan. I play a lot of that. A Link to the Past. That's the one. Legend of Zelda. That's the one for me. Christoph says, I believe in Roxanne too. That's why I don't want her to get burned. Ilkay says, does Jake Paul interfere at WrestleMania? Jake Paul is apparently going to be there in some capacity. Joey says, who is supposed to play Uncle Harper? I don't believe they ever got that far. Wiggly says, when is Fight Forever actually coming out? Don't even know. Joey says, maybe Uncle Howdy will find his true self with Bo Leave. I hope not. Makes no sense. Mr. Stumble says, Tom, when will you leak the news that Ezekiel and Elias are the same person? Mr. Stumble, you are way off base there. Absolute lies. I want to know your source on that because they are clearly pulling the wool over your eyes. Clearly. Wiggly says, did you watch the Oscars the other night? No. Who would have thought Brendan Fraser would ever win an Oscar? I love George of the Jungle, that's all I'm saying. Venom says, got my copy of 2K23 and War Games. Is amazing to play. Joey says, what led to the Bellas falling out with WWE? The Bellas did not fall out with WWE. Their contract expired. There was no interest on either side in renewing it. It's not a huge battle. It's not. This is actually really civil. The contract ran down. They all moved on. Ilkay says, how long do you think Mercedes Money reigns as New Japan Women's Champion? Probably about a year for me. I think about a year. Razar says, it might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think Bray Wyatt's writing fits in a wrestling show. We're better off writing a movie or something. Razar said the exact same thing on Monday. Spider-Boss says, do you think Alexa re-signs with WWE? Spider-Boss, if you are not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, now would be a good time to do so. Pop over to the YouTube channel, go to the video section, and what you'll find is a video answering that exact thing. Eric says, what do you think about the Mario trailer so far? It looks okay. I'm willing to give it a shot and see how it goes. But you've got to remember, Mario is losing relevance fast. Losing relevance fast. The current generation has little to no interest at all in Mario. Very little interest. They have to find a way to make young people care. It's why Logan Paul is now wrestling at WrestleMania. That's the generation that they now need to have appeal with. So they needed to do something new with Mario. This might not be for long-term fans. It's not going to be for me. It's not going to be. But if you want Mario to continue and not fall completely out of relevance entirely, you have to kind of support it. I wasn't a big fan of the Wednesday TV show, but Wednesday as a character without that TV show would have completely lost relevance and just would not have mattered anymore. I was in love with Gomez Adams for as long as I could possibly remember. I wanted to be that man. Raul Julia was my Gomez. He's not the Gomez anymore because we are in a new generation now and they need to come to terms with that as well. Venom says they could decide to swerve everyone, have Breakker keep the belt and stay in NXT for a little longer and send Mello to the main roster. Sean says, is it the same situation with Saraya Tom? Her contract expired and she didn't re-sign. Yep. She basically said to the WWE, you're not using me, I'm running down my contract and that's all. And they said, okay, we clearly can't fight you on this, so whatever. Ray says, what is the best Money in the Bank moment? I say Bayley winning the Money in the Bank and beating Charlotte Flair in the same night. Personally, I think there's a lot of different moments in Money in the Bank history that are fantastic. CM Punk winning, for example. Aled needs to see Cody hold the titles. Good, you're gonna. Ilkay says, does FTR win the AEW World Tag Team titles and beat the Gun Club? That entirely depends on what else they're being promised by Tony Khan. I've been reporting on this one for a while. Tony Khan is right now trying to convince FTR to sign a new deal by making big promises to them, including tag team championships and a run at the very top of the card. If they do not believe him, they will be coming to the WWE. Christoph says, do you see Miz costing Seth the match at Mania? No. Venom said, did you hear about Roxanne vacating the NXT title? You mean the thing that was announced on NXT? Yeah. Traffic says, I love the original Mario movie when I was a kid, by which you mean Super Mario Brothers with, what's his name? I know it's John Leguizamo. Bill Hoskins? Bob Hoskins. That was awful and I loved it. Ilke says, Seth's IC title run in 2018, the best apart from Gunter the past 20 years. That, I agree with. Venom says, who do you think will become NXT Women's Champion in a ladder match, a stand and deliver? I think it's very possible Roxanne retains. Sean says, your thoughts on Winnie the Pooh being turned into a horror character? The guy literally runs around with no pants. He was always a horror character. Thank you, Wiggly. Razar says, is a JC Jane injury real? She said she had a separated shoulder in a promo last night. No idea. Ilke says, do you play Red Dead Redemption? I do not. Not one I've actually played myself. Alan says, happy birthday to MJF. 23 Fresh says, will NXT ever get back to the black and gold era again? Nope. I've already reported exactly what NXT would become. It did become that. They take elements of black and gold, but we are not moving backwards. Keyshawn says, do you see Wardlow going to WWE? Forever is a very long time. Joey says, didn't TK promise Daniel Bryan he could work New Japan? Nope. Venom says, any update on CM Punk, Tom? Nope. Eric says, I hate to admit it because I hate Edge, but his cash-in was the best. That was not at Money in the Bank. Ilke says, any plans for Raquel? Yes, but they'll be kicking in after WrestleMania. And Ken says, do you think Roxanne will win in the ladder match to win back the title? I've just said, I do believe that will likely be the case. Christoph says, who was your childhood wrestling hero? Mine was Bret Hart, Triple H, all day, every day. Triple H was my guy. Sean says, Roxanne hasn't vacated the title. WWE hasn't put out anything saying she hasn't, and she is still the champion on the website. Yes, an actual vacation of the championship has not occurred. Retro Bias, welcome. Says, any update on Bray's illness/physical issue? Matt Hardy's tweet made it feel like something serious. He has a hand injury and there are some fitness concerns to my knowledge that are causing some concerns. We also have to remember, Bray Wyatt is immunocompromised. We do have to point that out. There are a number of people who've picked up issues, such as, if you remember, Keith Lee. We didn't know what was going on, but everyone was still speculating wildly and trying to guess. Every now and then, we need to take a step back and just let things play out. Ilke says, does Tiffany get in the ladder match? Your predictions for Johnny versus Waller? Waller winning again. As regards the ladder match, maybe. I don't watch enough NXT to really know this. Sai says, size note, if I think anyone's using a burner account here, they'll be out on their ear. Someone's getting messages. Adam says, do you think Jon Moxley returns to WWE? Yes, I do, but I do believe it'll be for a Hall of Fame induction way down the line. He's very happy in AEW. Ray says, what's your favourite childhood TV show? Mine is the A-Team. Digimon. No question. Digimon. I love Digimon. Venom says, do you think Sasha will come back anytime soon? Nope. Keyshawn says, do you think Moxie will bleed tonight? Always. Venom says, I really want Cody to win. Good, because he will. And Ray says, my childhood favourite wrestler was Hulk Hogan. Right. At this point in time, we've been live for 50 minutes, and I believe we are out of questions. We've had plenty of views, plenty of likes. Huge thanks to all of you who've been here to enjoy the show with me. I am going to wrap it up there. Next time we'll be live will be Friday, spoiler warning, but be sure to follow on TikTok and, of course, the shorts as well, if you've not already done so, for our daily wrestling rumours. And stick around because more will be coming. In the meantime, as always, a lot of love for Digimon, I like that. As always, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you very soon.